Hello everyone. Today on my craft table I have a tutorial for making these earrings. So these are the materials that we are going to need for making the earrings. So this is what we are going to make today, and as you can see, it is like a crystal encased on beads, and this is the crystal that I am going to be using. This is not a Swarovski's crystal. This is a kind of an acrylic or a kind of a plastic which I usually find in the embroidery section in the craft store. Swarovski crystals are expensive, and I don't use them often. And these you can find in different sizes, but today what I'm using is my guess is it should be around 10 mm or 12 mm, I think so. Okay, so before that, let me show you how it looks on either side. See, at the back also it looks like this, and in the front. See, once you learn to make this component, it can either become finger ring like this. You can attach a band or stick it, or you can put a loop and hang it like a earring, or it can just be a component in which you can stitch on to any other embroidery that you are making. So it's a very versatile kind of a pattern. So, and we are going to learn to bezel it. So bezel is actually this encasing that we do around the crystal is called as bezeling. Okay, and this is the technique. Okay, so using this in the center we are going to bezel. So the beads that we are going to need are these size 15 beads, and I don't know what color this is, but you can choose the color that matches your crystal. And this is one color of size 11 beads. The label says it's size 6, but it's not 6. It is 11 seed beads, that is, it's round. And another color, I don't know the color, what is the name of this color. This is also size 11. And in this tube I have some beads which are look-alike like Miyuki, but they are not Miyuki, but it is the same shape and size as Miyuki delicas. And I got this from some Chinese website. So they call it Miyuki delicas, but they are not the original Miyuki delicas. The needle that I'll be using is a size 10 beading needle, and the thread I'm using is Nymo size D. And you see that I always take some longer thread, and what I do is I keep half of it as my tail thread, and I use half of it for working, because once I finish the working thread, I use the tail thread, I thread it onto my needle and use it to finish the work. So this way I can avoid adding thread if necessary. So this is not possible for all the projects, but for smaller projects like this, we can avoid adding thread if we follow this method. So to begin making the earring, first we have to remove this crystal from out of this casing. Okay, so if you just use your fingers, it will come out, because it is kind of a soft metal. You don't need any hard objects to remove them. So just use your fingers, but just be a little careful. They are not sharp, but you know, in case you get hurt, so just be very gentle and remove the casing like this with your fingers. And once you remove it, the crystal will come out. Yeah, so when if you pull out all the prongs like this and you take it, the crystal will fall out like this. So this shape of a crystal is called as a rivoli, because this shape is called as a rivoli. So there will be other tutorials for you where they use this rivoli Swarovski crystals. Okay, begin by taking those Miyuki delica beads. Those are size 11, and I am going to take 28 of them to start making the bezel. So pick up 28 of the delica beads. So if you are using Miyuki, the delica beads, then also it will be the same number, because it is the same size here. And to be sure, you should please count again before you begin to bezel, because the having the correct number is very important. It cannot be less or it cannot be more. And also always remember that the beads must always be in an even count. Here I have taken 28 Miyuki delica, sorry. Delica is the name for the type of bead. So the understanding here is that this circle of beads that you first put on should be a little loose when you place your crystal like this. It should not be a tight fit, it should not be very loose, but it should be just a tad loose, because once you are going to tie it up, it's going to become a little smaller. So that should be your guideline when you're making a bezel. For this I am taking 28. For different sizes you should be taking different even number of beads. First we'll get this going, and you will have to form a circle. To make it into a circle, the only simple method is just pass your needle through the first bead that you put on. Now that much is enough now, because we are going to be working on these beads again, so no need to go through the circle again and add more thread inside the beads. So once you do this, you make sure that you hold the tail thread tightly in your left hand. Like I told you, it's a long tail, but so make sure that you don't keep it loose. So hold it tight like this. And we'll begin. See, look here, the thread is coming out of this first one. Pick up a delica, skip the first one and go into the second bead. At all times make sure that your circle is tight and you are holding it firmly between your fingers. Again, pick up a delica, skip a bead and pass it through the next bead. That is, after you skip the bead, after that, the bead after you skip, that's what it is. So skip a bead and add a bead, that should be your mantra. You will do this all around till you reach the starting point. See, if you are working nice and tight like this, this is how it should appear, like a kind of a brickwork. The stitch that we are making here, this is called as a POT stitch, and it is used in many different bead weaving. It's a bead weaving method which you can use for different projects. The POT stitch. Pick a bead, skip a bead and pass your needle through that next bead. Okay, so it should be like this, because you haven't even tied the tail. It can tend to get loose, but you have to try to hold it between your fingers and keep it nice and flat like this, and also there should be good tension like this. Now after adding all the beads, I have come to the end of the circle, and that is the place where we began. Now here is an important step in a POT stitch, which is called as the step up. The last bead that you will be putting your needle through is here. Okay, and that will complete the round. But as you complete the round, there is another step also that you have to do. That is passing your needle through the first bead that you added earlier. Okay, so you are going to be passing through two beads at the same time. The last bead that you are supposed to pass through and the bead that you added in this row. So by doing so, you are completing the round and you are also in a position to begin the next round. You can do it in 2 steps, but for convenience sake, you can pass the needle through 2 beads like this. So this is called as a step up, which is an important part of the POT stitch. So without a step up, you cannot make a POT stitch. So after you have stepped up, now I am going to work in the inside of the circle. We have now completed 3 rows of POT stitch. The 28 beads that we picked up in the beginning forms the first 2 rows, and the one that we added just now is the third row. So we have finished 3 rows of POT stitch. See, this is what I refer to as the inside, and this is what I am calling as the outside of the circle. Now we'll bring in the size 15 beads. So far we are working with size 11 beads. Now we'll be bringing the size 15 beads. Hold your work nice and tight between your fingers. Pick up size 15 bead, and you can see the one bead is standing out like that. So you will pass your needle through that. So there is a kind of a brickwork going on, and you will be placing this size 15 bead in between those brickwork or in the gaps that you can see there. So pick up one and pass through the next bead that is standing out or sticking out like that. Continue adding beads like this till you come to the end of the row. Actually you will be adding 14 beads here. I've picked up the last size 15 bead for this row. Now there is a step up. So the step up is the same. First you will insert your needle in the bead that the last bead that you have to go into. That will be the delica bead, and then you will also put your needle through the first 15 size bead that you added. So one through the delica and one and also through the size 15 bead. So that is the step up that we are doing here. Okay, and see, this is how it's going to look if you place the crystal like this. This will be the top part of your crystal or the ring. Now this size is enough for the inside, so we will move our needle to the outside of the ring. So to move it outside, you have to take the needle like this, like how I am showing you. You have to pass the needle in a diagonal so that you reach the outside of the circle, and also your thread will not be seen in any other path. It will be in the same path as the beads. Now I brought the thread to the outside of the circle. Again here we are going to continue with the POT stitch and using the delica beads. This is quite an easy round because you can see the beads that are sticking out or standing out. So you just have to take a delica bead and pass through the bead that you can see there. We began making this bezel by using 28 beads, right? So in each round there will be 14 beads that you will be adding. So 28 is row 1 and 2, and so that means each row there will be 14 beads that you will be adding. So sometimes some people even keep out the 14 beads separately so that they don't miscount and they don't make any mistakes. So you can do it like that also. So just for your understanding, I'm telling you. See, and this will start becoming into a cup like this as we proceed. And this is the way it should be, because that is where our crystal is going to sit. So it should start becoming into a cup like this. I've completed that round, and again it is time for a step up. After you take a bead, insert your needle in both. See, we'll take a delica bead. Insert your needle from where you started, and also the first bead that we added. Okay, in a step up you will be passing through 2 beads at the same time. This is completed, and we are now ready for the next round. See, it's become into a cup like this. Now we can place a crystal. So put your crystal face down like this, and it will sit like this. See, this same thing, even if we make this as a 30 bead when we started, if you make it with 30 delica beads also, it will work. But for this pattern I've chosen it to be 28 because that's the way I want the earrings to stand. If it is 30 beads also, it will be a little looser fit, but it will still work. Now this round I'm going to do the peyote stitch in the size 15, because now we want to make it further smaller into a cup to hold the crystal. So we are using a smaller size bead here, only then it will start gathering up. You see the crystal is moving up and down like this. It is bound to happen because the crystal is very slippery against the bead. It will try to slip, but as we move on, we have to try to make and hold it flat. At the same time, if you had used 30 in the beginning, this would sit very well perfectly inside the cup. So that's what I have noticed while making other patterns, but for this pattern I have used only 28. So continue working in the peyote stitch. At the same time, hold on to your crystal and try to keep it as flat as possible. See, here you can see on one side the bezeling is too much and on the other side it's lesser, but this can be shifted before we make the final round circle here at the back. Step up and proceed to the next part of the stitching. So you see here, this red color part is what we are going to do. This is called as netting because it's like a net which holds the crystal. Here look at the needle position for beginning the netting. See, actually we stopped at size 15 bead, but now I am moving the needle 1 bead ahead, and that is I am taking my needle into the delica bead, because I want to do the netting from the delica bead and not from the size 15 bead, because I feel the size 15 beads are too tiny and they may not be strong enough. So my needle position is now at the Miyuki delica beads. From there you pick up 5 of this red color beads and you skip 1 delica after that and pass your needle through the next delica bead. See, the position will be like this, like a scallop. Again 5 of these red color seed beads. Skip one delica and pass your needle through the next delica. So you will continue like this till the end of this round. You will have 7 scallops in this round. That is, each scallop will be made up of 5 beads. And see, as when you finish, this is how this is the place where we are finishing. I picked up 5 beads, and your needle should go through the first delica where you started, so that completes this round. When you go through the first bead that from where you started, that will complete your round. And after you complete this round, to move on to the next round, what you will do is you will pass your needle through the first 3 of the red color beads that we put on in this row. Okay, all the 3, you should pass through all the 3. So technically you are coming out in the middle of that scallop. You can still see that the bezel is not sitting properly as it should be, but it will get solved by the time we finish the end of the netting process. So you can give it a little push here and make sure that the crystal sits right in the center. We are now beginning the next round of netting. Pick up one delica bead and your needle will now pass through the center bead of the next scallop. That is, we made a set of 5 beads there. We put on 5 beads in the next one. So you see there, you can see there, you will pass your needle through the center of those 5 beads. Again pick up one more of the red color seed bead and pass your needle through the center of the next scallop. The center means the third bead actually. So you will do this again till you reach the end of this round. See, as we work, I am trying to give it a little pull to get it nice and tight. Now we have reached the end of the round, and now I pick up one delica bead and I will pass through the center bead of the first scallop. So that's where we started, so that's where we are going to end also. So pass your needle through the center of the first scallop, and this completes your round. And tighten your work like this. So pull your thread so it all comes together like this, and also make sure that your crystal sits nice and flat. Okay, you will have to make some adjustments like this so that your crystal is right in the middle, like where we want it. You see, you have to tighten it up nicely like that. So since the threads are nylon, they will tend to become loose if you let it go. So what you should do is you have to pull it and hold it tightly with your fingers. So moving on now to further close this round, what we are going to do is we are going to pass the needle only through the beads that we put on in this round. We are not going to pick up any beads. Instead, we are just going to pass through all the beads that we put on in this round. So we put on some delicas in this round, right? So go through all those delicas to close this netting. So I had missed I was looking for the last delica, and so that took me some time to figure it out. So now see, this is done. So constantly you will have to be setting the crystal up with your fingers like this. Yeah, we are almost done now. See, in the front it's still not straight, but then we can just again, there is still time before we finish the round, and then we can set it up. So this round you have to pass your thread through those delica beads at least 2 or 3 times, and after that you can make a and even before you pass it 2 or 3 times, yeah, just make a knot like this, so that your thread does not become loose. And after you make one single knot like that, you can go through the beads that you added in the last round 2 or 3 times. Remember, you are not picking up any beads, instead you are just going through the beads and tying them up together. So if your bead hole permits, make about 3 round, go around it 3 times. So your work also will be tight, and they will and it will also be strong. So once you are satisfied with how passing it 2 or 3 times, now we can make some knots here. Before we proceed further, when we complete this round, we'll make some knots here before we go into making the top part of the bezel or the ring. So we make knots here so that even if you want to change thread or something, it's easy. Or even if the thread breaks, if in case something happens, your other part of the beadwork will be saved, and you will have to do only the remaining part. See here, you see I'm trying to set the crystal right in the center of the bezel, or set the bezel around the crystal correctly like this. So once it's like this, then it won't move again, and we are also going to make some more designs on the side of it, so then it won't move. Now you have to bring this thread to the top part of the ring. Because I'm using the same thread, I'm going to bring this needle and thread up till there, because I have thread remaining, so I'm going to use the same thread. And to bring the thread up to the top, you just cannot put your needle and thread anywhere and bring it up, because the thread will be seen. So you have to thread your way up to the place that we want to. So you have to go through the beads and move in such a way that the threads are not seen outside. So most preferably that will be, if you are doing it diagonally, then you are good. So let's start looking at where we are going to start the next part of our design. See, the thread is coming out of this delica bead. That's the 4th row in the peyote stitch. This is the 3rd row. This is the 2nd row, and this is the 1st row of the peyote stitch that we have made. We are going to work in the 4th row of the peyote stitch. Pick up 2 of the green color seed bead, or any color that you have chosen, size 11 seed bead, and pass your needle through the next bead in the same line. Okay, like the peyote stitch by now. They have they stand out separately, so it is easier for you to identify which bead you have to go into. So after picking up two greens, now I am taking two reds and passing my needle through the next bead in that row. So they won't be sitting straight or flat. It might look a little wonky now, but that's okay. It will get better as we do the further rows. Now I have put in two more of the green color seed bead, then again two more of the red, so we'll continue like this till the end of the circle. And you see here the last two red beads that I am putting on, I am going to finish it by passing through the bead from where we started. So that way we'll complete a round. So after completing that round, you will now pass your needle through the first of the green two green beads that we put on. Pass it through the first one. Pick up two more green beads and pass your needle down the next one. See, your beads will sit on top of those two beads like this. Now, without adding any bead, pass your needle to the first of the red bead. Pick up two beads of red and pass it down the next red bead and also into the next green one. So instead of making two passes, just in one go itself you can do this. Pick up two beads, pass through the adjacent bead and also the first of the next set of two. So like this you will continue all around, and when you complete this row, so you will do the same thing, but take two beads, pass down the next seed bead, and so we have to still put on the last two of the beads in this round. So pass it down the next one, and then to step up, what you will do is you will go through both the green beads of the next set. See, watch there, both of them, not just one of them but both of them. You will come up through both of the beads in that set. And now we are ready to start the next round or next row. Here now you will pick up only one green bead and go down the next bead, and before you proceed to the next set, that is into the next red beads, pick up one size 15 bead and go up the red bead. Now pick up one red bead, go down the adjacent bead, pick up 115 and go into or go up the next green bead. Pick one green, go down the next bead, go down one step only. Take a size 15 now, go up the red bead, pick a red bead and continue. We have now completed this round, and I am putting in the last red color bead. And after we do that, pick up one size 15 and now go up the green bead that you see there, as well as the center bead that we put in this row. So that completes this round. It's also a step up. So that completes this round. Next, there is another row of delica beads that we have to put on in front of these leaves that we have made. To do that, I have to bring the thread from there. I have to reach to one of the delicas here. So to bring the thread, again you will bring it in the same way as the thread path. See, bring it down those two green beads like this. So by doing so, you will actually be hiding the path of the thread. So that is why you have to be neat in especially when you are passing the thread from place to place. If you pass it through the beads like this in the same way you stitched, your thread will not be seen. Okay, now I have brought the thread in the front, and now I am passing the needle into the first delica that you see there. Okay, so you see there are 3 more rows left. You will be working in the row that is right next to the one that we just completed. This row is very simple. Just put one row of delicas all around in this row, that's all. So pick up one delica, go into the next bead, again pick one more. So like I've already mentioned earlier, so one row will be 14 beads. So you will be putting in 14 delica beads, one each at a time. Yeah, so that completes the row. And to complete it, as usual, you will have to stitch through the first bead that we passed through. So that will complete it. The first bead where you started. Yeah, now we are almost completed with the component that is, but since this is a earring, let me call it a earring. So we have completed the earring, and I am trying to set the bezel properly like that. Now what is left is just to put on the small loop at the top of the earring for the earring hook to pass through. Again, you will have to take the thread up now. In the same way, try to take the thread up to the place where we want to make the loop. But because this thread is small now, I think I'll wind up this thread and use the other tail thread to make the loop. So here I am finishing off this thread by making some knots around in the beadwork. But this knot also has to be done in places where the knot will not be seen outside. So do a very neat work, because in a earring both the sides will be seen when you wear it. So so it has to be neat. Even otherwise, your work has to be neat in the front and also at the back. Make several knots in different places, and when you are sure that your threads are all tightened properly, then we can cut it off. Okay, so I am going to cut off this thread, and I'll use the other tail thread to make the loop. If you are going to make a ring, so you have to make a band around it. From one side to the other side, you will make a band to make it into a ring. But now, since this is a earring, we have to just make a small loop on the top. So with the other tail thread, put on your needle, so thread your needle back, and this thread, see, it is here in this position. Now I want the loop to be made in the place where I am pointing out. So again you will have to take this thread up to that place. Okay, now it will be a little tight fit now because we have passed through the beads many times. So wherever there is place, and if it is the thread path that you have to take, or if you feel that the thread is not going to be seen in this direction in which you are doing, you can continue. So I brought the thread up to where I want the loop to come. Now for the loop, pick up 4 of the green beads. Okay, take 4 green beads and make a loop like this on the top. So it's not enough if you do it only one pass. You will have to do at least 2 or 3 passes, because that's the place where the hook is going to be holding the weight of the earring. So you will have to make at least 3 passes, and if your bead hole permits, you can even do 4 passes also. So go in a circular motion from the 4 beads that you put on through the top of the bead that you started with. So if you go around in circles, you will make at least 3 or 4 passes. After making that, bring your thread down to a place where you can knot it up. So if you see some thread bridges, and if your needle passes through there, you make your knots there. So as we continue with the bead work, the spaces will become tighter. So these parts are a little difficult, but then only if we take the trouble will our bead work be nice and neat, and also nice and tight and secure. See, sometimes your thread will go in the front and the back because excuse me, because you're passing through the beads, so that's okay. But the only thing, like I keep telling, is see that your thread is not seen in places in which it should not be seen. So that doesn't give a neat appearance. So since I have the thread and then there is some space for me to make my knots, I am going through several times, but in other cases at least 2 or 3 times if you make these passes and knots, it is more than enough. With that we complete this and trim off your thread, and it's now ready. Okay, once you set it like this, it will remain like that. Now there are different ways in which you can, what kind of hooks you can add. See, here I have this is called as a lever back hook, and this is a kind where you can use it just by See, you don't need a jump ring or anything. You just have to pass your bead earring into the hook like this. So make sure that you're putting it on the right side and put it. Now these are interchangeable, so anytime you want you can remove and add other earrings on this. That's a different kind of a lever bag. Otherwise it's the normal ones like this one which you will need jump rings to put on. So if you are going to put on these kind of lever bags, you will need jump rings. So open up a jump ring, pass it through the loop in your earring and close it. Now pick up another jump ring, open it, and in this you add your earring as well as your lever back hook and close it. And when you close it, so this is how it will be. Okay, the next option is to add it into if you have earrings like this and then there are spaces for you to add your earring, you can do that also. See, in this one there is a small loop at the bottom, so I can add a earring there. Open up a jump ring, pass it through your earring in the loop that you made, pass it like this, close it and take another jump ring and use this jump ring to join both the earring stud and your earring drop. And add it to your earrings like this. Close the jump rings and then see you have it on this, but this is not a very suitable earring base, I can say, but if you have one that matches your work, you can use that. Or you could even stick this on to a earring if you have not made the loop, and if you want it to be a stud earring, you can even glue this kind of a earring back to your beadwork. If you glue it with E6000 or some similar strong glue, this will stay. Thank you for watching. If you like my tutorial, please like, share and subscribe to my channel.